Thank you very much. My dear friends, it's a privilege to join you today and share a few thoughts with you. Ethical decision making has been critical in all that employees and business persons do. It has been challenging because poor decisions are made day in and day out. Of course, some are intentional, others are also unintentional. But whatever it is, ours is to promote what is right. Just last week, a friend of mine visited with me and shared with me his challenges. And critical among it is a vendor, a contractor in the company visited with him and gave him a cash gift of $2,500. And when he received it, he returned it. As soon as his team lead and team members got to know that, they were furious with him that he is disgracing them. This is the world we live in, and these are places we work. For many, it is opportunity to amass wealth. For others who are stakeholders or whose businesses it is, they think it is the time to make a lot of profit. So one question is, how should one approach ethical decision-making when there are competing priorities? And a typical example is to make profits or to stand on ethical integrity. Dear friends, ethical business practices involve making decisions and having your business act in a way that people will view as morally acceptable. While it's true that morals vary between individuals, in most situations, it's clear to see where the moral line stands. And it's up to you as an individual or a business owner to choose whether to cross that line or not. In some businesses, they see conflict between ethics and profits. So they may focus more on profit. While an unethical decision can sometimes lead to increased profits, it can also damage the company's reputation. And the same way can damage an individual's reputation in the long run. If customers view your business as morally wrong, they might become unwilling to patronize you. At the end, creating profits in the long term or reducing profits sharply in the long term. And so when there's opportunity or a decision to choose between profits and ethical decision, let's look at the long effect. In fact, research has proven this. If we go into business research, Philip Kotler and Christian Saka, in their research that was published just in 2018, and with the title Risking the Brand, it talked about reputation of institutions, and most of it that came out, there is a growing belief that companies focus on profits over people. And what happens thereafter? They lose what they need to have. In fact, in marketing shops, it's also reviewed that the satisfied customers had indicated and have shown in their behavior as customers that a company that does not put their needs and their wants above its own business goals will not be supported. How should ethical decision-making change in times of crisis or pressure? I talked about my friend who visited me last week and was being pressurized to take cash from people he should not take from. Well, individuals are more likely to act unethically when norms support an unethical choice. But when there is a difficult decision to make it based on what would create a long-term value instead of gaining a short-term win. It may be a win, but short-term. How should ethical decision-making change in times of crisis or pressure? Studies on unintentional ethical behavior have identified a series of situational and social forces that lead people to behave unethically. Also, individuals are more likely to act unethically when norms support an unethical choice. However, when these same norms are experienced under high time pressure, individuals follow them and act unethically. I read about a number of business leaders, and I identified 7 of them that made critical decisions that whoever was close to them could have warned them, this may end your career. To each of them, they took such bold decision of holding on to ethical principles, when in some cases it affected the company. But all 7 that I read about ended building better careers. In fact, they were hailed for decisions they made, even by people who were pushing them to have done the otherwise. I remember reading about Sally Krawcheck, Kathleen Mansfield, and a few others. We can also stand in the same way, no matter where we find ourselves. I remember some years ago when I started working and a company employed me. I was happy with them. Then I found out during our daily meetings, each morning we'll gather in our hall with our team leads. And one thing that pushed me out of the company was they had built a culture, and the culture is so bad that in the morning, both males and females, they spend time using company resources to watch pornography. They discuss it and make themselves happy. At the end, this will destroy the company. In fact, I could not bear it. I was there for only 3 months. Even some of my salary, I had to leave it and go away. There are other places that is common, that everybody will lie to his or her own benefit. And who dare you if you stand and tell the truth? Everybody is against you. Typical example is how they log in, the time they report to work. They're able to do it such that as if all of them were following each other. If the deadline is supposed to be 8 o'clock, everybody follows each other until that time. However, if you are there present, you get to know that it's not so. When somebody attends work at say 9, he keys in that he or she was there at 7:30. Who will stand for the truth when under pressure? We encourage you to always stick to your moral ethics. Of course, high time pressure can negatively affect ethical decision-making. Societal pressure can always pose a challenge, as there can be a desire to conform in order to avoid conflict that can compromise ethical choices. But watch out and be prepared to stand tall. You can easily prioritize immediate outcomes over long-term considerations. But let us look at the long term. What are some of the consequences of unethical decision if one fails to make ethical decisions in the workplace, both for the individual and the organization? What can be the outcome? Well, there could be a violation of personal values and societal standards. Potential harm to oneself and others can be experienced. Conflict with organizational principles. There could be potential for negative impact on professional relationships and reputation. There could be potential for legal consequences, potential for loss of trust and credibility. Negative effects on morale and team dynamics can be experienced. There could be potential loss of business, opportunities, and contracts. There could be negative impact on the career progression and job security. There could be retaliation, as Dr. mentioned in some places. How can one handle witnessing unethical behavior in a workplace that will be without fearing retaliation? Most of us have witnessed some form of unethical behavior in where we work or where we've been. Probably we are not bold enough to work on it or to act on it because there were no policies in those organizations. For us to be bold, there should be a policy in the organizations we work with or we work for. A policy to set clear expectations for employees. If we can do so, leadership are to set example and be committed to ethical behavior. Create a clear reporting process for employees to report unethical behavior. There is a need to document everything to provide evidence if needed. Also, there's a need to enforce and reinforce what you mandate to deter unethical actions. There is a need to educate, train employees on ethical behavior and its consequences. There is a need to promote a strong ethical culture through open communication and support. Are there long-term benefits of ethical decision-making for career growth and company reputation? Certainly, yes. If you're able to do so, will foster organizational organizational resilience by operating within legal and ethical boundaries. If we do so, we can avoid unethical practices and protect the organization from reputational damage, legal repercussions, and financial losses. We can enhance the reputation of the organization through stakeholder support and renewed commitment based on integrity, fairness, and social responsibility. That can also attract top talent and foster trust and confidence in the organization. We can build and maintain relationships based on trust and mutual respect. We can shape organizational behavior and create positive work environment. Our morality, our behavior, our principle, trust, responsibility, relationship building, reliability, and the choices we make will help us know if business ethics is priority to the organization and to what we do. My dear friends, in times like these, this should be our choice. This should be what we should desire to do. This should be what we need to build. A legacy for ourselves, for the organization, and for our time, so that tomorrow others can build on it. And there could be a better tomorrow because we've laid a better foundation. Thank you. I'll pause and then probably respond to questions at this time. Thank you once again.